Can you tell us a little bit about directing?
I'm so glad to have done it. I don't know that I'll do it again on this show because of just how intensive it's been. It's just an adrenaline high the entire time. I mean, for just 12 hours, it's just like go, 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 go. And just, it doesn't stop at all, which I don't know. I took to. There's a lot of different kinds of directors. And I think should this continue for me, I am very visual. I clearly have very specific ideas about how I want something to look. But what really fed me was getting to talk to the actors, giving them notes, and also rehearsal and notes are things that are nearly forgotten in television because you just are shooting so much material every day. It's just a fact of the business. You get maybe 2 rehearsals and a couple takes. You just don't have time to really spend a lot of time with the material. So it's really just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. You're rehearsing on camera. That's fine. You accept that. It's second nature. But, it was the 9th episode of this season. A lot is happening, none of which I cannot really talk about, but stuff that was very emotionally intense and very visually specific. So I felt like I got an opportunity to put a little bit of my own imprint on it visually, and then also really connect with, and I can't even talk about who's in the thing because it's there's so many spoilers in my episode that I can't really be specific yet. But getting to talk to the actors, having lived with them through this season as a colleague, as a fellow actor, it was quite like emotional and spiritual, which wasn't surprising for me. But I think even a lot of times in television, the directors it's just time management. You start behind, you just start behind the clock basically, and it is so much, and they don't always have a lot of direction for the actors, like not too much, but I really love talking to them. There was a scene where I can't even say who it is or what it is or why, but
can I just interrupt to say that clearly there are some like big surprise guests this season. Penn has not told me anything about the season. He's under lock and key.
Yeah.
But I'm just deducing that there are some like really big guests this season.
Glad you're saying that here too, Nava, because my show You could really use the bump.
Yeah, I've heard it's a little indie darling.
Yeah.
Netflix really needs
all of our
help it out.
Listen, you guys just get it out there. Please
tweet with the hashtag watch you.
Yeah. Save you.
Save you. I saw a picture of you with like headphones on behind the camera, maybe like watching a scene. And it was so cool. I felt really proud. I have no reason to be proud. It's not like I created you. It was really sweet to see you in that role that I haven't seen before. And I was wondering what that felt like, even like that specifically, like being behind the camera, watching scenes.
The schedule in television is pretty rigorous. And a lot of times I didn't even watch playback. So it was a lot of guesswork and faith, which I was making the joke is like, it's how I live the rest of my life. I think beforehand, all the other directors, they were supportive, but they were a little bit like, I can't imagine how you're doing these 2 things at once. And I was just like, well, I get theoretically what you mean, but like, since being Joe it's second nature in a lot of ways. But I just think practically, like not having time to watch playback and just having to trust the camera crew and our producing director, John Scott, to just be like, the shot I'm looking for. If you think we got it, we got it. Over time, you get this sense, you get this sort of sixth sense of when everything works. You definitely know. So that's why I felt okay to be that way. But it's still, like I said, it's faith and guesswork. And I think a lot of directors would hate that. Imagine they said action and then they could only listen to it, like, and then they couldn't watch it back because there wasn't time. I think that's the way that it was. But because again, maybe that suits me, it forced me to not be too precious about certain things. But yeah, from a purely creative standpoint, what you learn as a director, you have to have plans, but then those plans will basically be shattered because of just so many things, so many factors. And then what you do as your plan is being sort of just neatly picked apart by time and circumstance, you kind of decide what's important. And I found that I got really good at like making back time. Like I'd lose an hour and a half in the morning because one is just a really complicated beat we had to get. But then like, all right, you know what? We don't need this setup. It can really be told in just this one wide because this is a 3/8 of a page scene with 2 lines. And it's more elegant this way. Is it going to work in the transition? You check the scene before, you check the scene after. All right. Yeah, I think that's actually better. Being forced by time to do something that, in television, you wouldn't shoot this way. And I took to it and I love the problem solving of it. And I like the adrenaline of it. And I like the act of it. I think let's see how the episode turns out. If the episode turns out really well, and it's like, maybe I'll direct another episode of this. But it is tough to be a central character in the show and then to direct an episode because you don't have time to either prep or edit in the way that you would like. Also, if I was to do this with my family here, like just straight up, no. Yeah. It was like, if I thought I was busy before, it was like extra.
The scenes where you had to skip over a shot because of time and circumstance. In many other creative pursuits, like in visual art, often it's like the limitations that create the best art, like if you just are completely free, then there's too many options. So yeah, I'm really excited to see the episode, Penn.
So I know you as someone who doesn't love giving critical notes. What was that like for you to have to give critical notes, especially in your peers?
I'd be interested to hear. We're going to have, I think, a few of these people on, so maybe we can ask them then. I know that my co-stars enjoyed having me as a director because I would talk to them at, I think, at a very spiritual level, at a very like heart and soul level. I said to one actor, like, I mean, we all have to do such intense stuff on this show, like the stakes are life and death. And basically what's being asked of her on the page is like just really, really intense. And I knew that she was open to this kind of suggestion. I just wouldn't come out the gate saying something like this to somebody who'd be like, okay, bro. Right before we rolled, I just kind of quietly I said something else, but then I just waited a moment and I said, and call on your ancestors. And she had a really sweet smile and she was like, thank you. And I was like, I mean that. Because what she was having to conjure up was actually kind of ancestral stuff. Learning how to speak to everyone's heart, not just their mind, but their heart. That was the thing that I think I liked, like learning how to say something that was constructive but contained the criticism. I think I was able to give very technical and very like emotional notes at the same time and very visual. From what I could tell, the feedback was they were really appreciating that. But yeah, that is a hard aspect of it, because one of the reasons actors are treated the way they are is because what we have to do in the moment is quite sensitive. If you feel off, it's hard to do. It's hard to perform. So one of the reasons actors are coddled is because it's like, well, when in doubt, make them feel special, I think might be the way that's like people's default. And I actually kind of get that, because you don't want them to be too in their head. So learning how to speak to them in that way, like I liked the first opportunity to like really do that at a high level. Like when it really matters, it's going to go out there and be seen by millions of people.
You're sort of famous for how you feel about Joe. Did having to direct yourself, or think about it from the director's perspective and not just the actor's perspective, shift in any way sort of your take on that character?
It actually did exactly what I thought it would do, which is it almost made it all easier. It made me less frustrated with Joe. Sometimes just practically speaking, and I've told, Sarah and Greg this and the directors we have, I don't even, it's not, I think playing any murderer for that long becomes it's just physically draining. It's like you're just expending energy in a way that like isn't necessary if you're telling a different kind of story. Yeah, it kind of made it easier because I just didn't feel the same kind of, I don't know, resistance getting up that hill of just having to be at that level all the time. Because what it was, I think, is as a director, so the level of preparation you need as a director, I think as an actor, is extra. If I put the level of preparation into every episode I did with that one, I would have no family. This podcast wouldn't exist. You know what I mean? Like it would just be, it's just like
for a couple weeks.
Our friends, right. That's the longest my texts have gone unread in a while.
Yeah.
I know he's directing, but
no, it really was like so full on. So in one sense, I was immersed. And I enjoyed that level of immersion, because I think in the fourth season of a show, it's like you got to check in further or you're going to check out, probably. It doesn't matter what it is. And so, yeah, it was just kind of like a thing that forced me to delve further into what this show was exploring and to find new subtleties in it. And I think I needed less takes. I think I was kind of always on. It wasn't like 0 to 60 just coming from my trailer and having had anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes to like cool down. It was more like staying warmed up. What I've even said to you before, Nava, is like when I have to do the super intense stuff, sometimes the hardest thing is going 0 to 60 constantly back and forth, like, and no way to stay warm. But this just kept me warm all the time.
I don't know exactly how to ask this question because it feels a little bit indelicate, but do you feel more angry when you're playing? Like, how does it affect you actually playing a character who's so dark? Like, maybe does your body always know the difference?
Just practically, I know that I swear more when I'm shooting, a lot more, I think. It's taxing. It's taxing. It's just very, very taxing. Having to take on what Joe is taking on, just practically, 10 to 12 hours a day for 6 months. I think I surprisingly, I don't take it home with me. It doesn't really stick to me, but physically it's just really draining.